So, life as a 26-year-old man. It's crazy. I'm making this video because it was recently my birthday. I just turned 26th. I'm not old per se. Like, I'm definitely not old, but I'm also not like young necessarily either. Like, I am, right? Like, I'm young, but like, I'm not 18 anymore, right? Like, I'm closer to 30 than I am 18 now. And it's kind of like that middle ground where you start realizing how fast time is actually moving and how much of your life is really in your hands now. This is really just me being real, sharing what life feels like as a 26-year-old man, the struggles, the lessons, and the truths I wish I learned sooner. Unfortunately, I can't be one of those people that you see on YouTube who are 50 years old and they're like, if you're in your 20s and 30s, watch this. Unfortunately, I haven't had my 30s yet, and I'm not even finished in my 20s. So I'm not claiming that I know everything, but if you're in your 20s or even if you're in your late teens and you feel like you're behind or just lost in the noise, this video could be for you, right? So I look at 24, 25, 26, 27. I feel like this age range is kind of like walking across a bridge, right? On one side of the bridge, there's that boy version of you, right? The guy that, the kid that really likes the superhero stuff, playing video games, like, chill, hanging out with his friends, playing sports, who's maybe a little impulsive, maybe reactive, maybe driven by ego a little bit. And then the other side is the man version of you that you're becoming, the one who leads, thinks, is very mature, takes responsibility. And the bridge is narrow, right? It swings back and forth. Sometimes it's lonely, but every step forward means you're building a life with more depth, more peace, and more purpose. And I thought I would just share kind of some things I've experienced and give you, I guess, maybe 5 or 6 lessons that I've learned in my 26 years on this spinning rock so far. So the first one I would say is the first point is no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you, right? You realize this, I would say probably around 21, maybe 18, but you're waiting for things to click or for someone to guide you. That'll kind of get you stuck forever. And I was lucky enough to grow up with, a mom and dad that were together my whole life. So I did have a fatherly figure in my life. However, things were definitely not perfect. And, they definitely didn't save me by any means, right? You are the plan. You are the rescue mission. And you need to take ownership of your life. It quite frankly is the first step to becoming a man. The people talk about, losing your V card and stupid crap like that. Or people talk about like the first time you bench press 225, things like that. There's all these experiences in life. But one thing that is a big lesson is like I said, realizing that no one's coming to save you. I feel like that's when boys become men, because at the end of the day, especially when you're a younger kid, you're used to either having a dad or maybe your mom or like, stepdad, stepmom, or like some type of figure, your teachers, your coaches. But as you get older, you realize it's really just you and God, if you're religious, and you got to figure things out. And, whether it's in business, whether it's, physical things, whether it's like, being in a fight or defending yourself, or whether it's just figuring out what your course or path is on this earth. That's up for you to decide, and no one can decide it for you. And no one's going to get you out of bed. You have to do that yourself. The second life lesson I've learned is consistency beats motivation every time. And I'm seeing this in real time because I'll give you a perfect example. Last year and last fall, I would watch a ton of motivational videos on YouTube, like people talking and about like motivation and wanting it bad enough. And it's funny because last year I didn't work as hard as I am this year. And this year I don't watch any motivational stuff, really. Like every now and then if I'm scrolling on some reels and I see some like motivational, like little reel, that's fine. But I used to listen to like long form content, motivational videos, a lot of times last year. And I work a lot harder this year than I did last year. I'm in better shape. I'm in a better place in my career. My relationship's better. Everything with my family's better. Like everything in my life is better than it was 365 days ago. And I listen to less motivational stuff. What I do though is I'm very, 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 I would say more disciplined with my calendar, my energy, and where I put my time, right? Showing up when it's boring, painful, or inconvenient is where the real wins are. Motivation fades. All that stuff you watch is going to fade. Discipline is what compounds. It's like a stock, right? It's like investing in the S&P 500, compounds over time. Whether it's fitness, work, your mental health, your relationships, whatever it may be, do it even when you don't feel like it. The third life lesson I would say from my 26 years on this planet would be your circle is going to shrink, and that's okay, right? You're going to outgrow people. People will outgrow you. You start valuing depth over noise, and the older you get, the more peace matters. And peace often means saying no. I've noticed this a lot where a lot of the friends that I went to high school with, I don't know, they just seem to be growing apart, and that's okay, right? A lot of the people, that, were maybe like kind of like in the athlete friend group, like I played, football, baseball, all that type of stuff, even basketball, some as well. But like I kind of hung out with a lot of the athletes in high school because I was an athlete. I was the captain of the football team and all that stuff. But I've noticed that after high school, a lot of those kids, they just want to do the same stuff. They want to drink every weekend, go to the casino, smoke pot, all that type of stuff. And it's like, dude, like we're 26 now, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't you want to be a little more serious? But it's okay. Like, it's just part of life. And I've become friends with a lot of people from like my gym now, and stuff like that. And the thing is, I don't think you should necessarily cut off like people unless they're like a horrible influence, but it's just naturally like life runs its course, and I do think that people grow apart, and I think it's something you have to accept. There was someone who commented on one of my videos a couple weeks ago. It was a very, very, very long message about like how his friends were going to college, and like he didn't know if like he was going to see him again. And I just basically told him like, listen, man, like I understand your concern, and I understand that it's sad. But, like, at the end of the day, like, you'll still see them when they come back into town. You can hang out with them if they want. And if you all happen to naturally grow apart, then it is what it is. I'm friends with probably, like, 2 or 3 people, or at least close friends with probably 2 or 3 people from my high school still. Most of them I don't see that much anymore. And it's okay. Like I wished someone happy birthday recently that I knew from high school. And then when my birthday rolled around 3 days later, he didn't text me. And it's okay. Like, I'm not going to be mad about it. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And like, if you are doing your part, then like you shouldn't feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying? So I would just, to preface this or to wrap this portion up is like, like I said, your circle is going to shrink. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. It's something that happens. And then the fourth one is actually similar, but what a little different. And that one is relationships won't save you. So obviously it's good to like, quote unquote, network. It's good to like have relationships, whether that's with like, a woman, or whether that's with like, just like, friendly relationships, business relationships, whatever that may be. And you want relationships. But the point I'm trying to make is they don't save you. I used to think when I was younger that if I like had a girl and, like she loved me and she was loyal to me and we consistently, hung out and like, made love and all this stuff, that all my problems would be solved. And honestly, that is not true at all. Like, it's just not true. I was going to say I'd argue it's the opposite, but I don't think it's the opposite because like I do think, my life's definitely better. But they're not going to save you. No person can fix the emptiness that y'all refuse to face yourself. Like when I was super lonely, like when I went through a super lonely period of my life, I thought that having a girl or like, talking to women would fix that. If anything, it makes it worse because that loneliness is something that you have to conquer and face on your own as a man. Having a girlfriend or whatever like that, that can support you. That's good, but they're not going to carry you. And quite frankly, they shouldn't. Men are supposed to be leaders. Men are supposed to go out there and make shit happen, right? So like you don't want to rely on someone to fix your happiness anyway or fix your loneliness anyway. Heal your wounds as a man. You could try something like therapy. I'm not necessarily saying that, but like you have to do some deep work as a man and heal your wounds so you stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Stop taking your anger out on people that don't deserve it. And you fix your shit, right? Fix your stuff. Because at the end of the day, you want relationships. Like you want a woman that's down for you. You want a woman that supports you and loves you. You want, a good set of friends, good relationship with family, all that type of thing, all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not going to fix your problems, and you have to fix them yourself. right? So that would be the other lesson I've learned, and I've learned this one all too well. The fifth one is, and I have a video about time and how it's moving fast, but my fifth life lesson I've learned as I turn 26 is time is moving extremely fast, so don't waste it. You always hear this a lot, like, oh, like, you know, well, actually, you don't always hear this. You hear opposites. You hear some people say, oh, well, like, you know, work hard in your 20s, don't waste your time. But then you hear the other side where it says, oh, like, you're only in your 20s once, might as well have fun, you know. And I think, you know, it's good to have a good blend of this. Like, you should go out and hang out with your friends and make memories, but you also should be disciplined and work hard towards your goals. I think there's a good balance there. But I think to kind of add on top of that, just being cognizant and aware that how fast time is moving is going to put you ahead, because if you're aware of that and you realize how fast time is moving, you would think you would want to make use of it, right? As you get older, like, you're not in school anymore, you're not going to football, baseball practice necessarily like you were when you were in grade school and in high school and all this type of stuff. Days blend into weeks and weeks blend into years. I mean, I remember not that long ago, I was at a New Year's Eve party with my girlfriend and family, and that was literally like 7 months ago. I mean, I'm recording this video in July. Like, that was literally like 7 months ago. And it just feels like that. It feels like it was yesterday. And if you don't start building the life you want now, you'll wake up at 30 or 40 stuck at level 1. And if you're listening to this and you are over 30 or 40, this still could be relevant to you. Like, time's going to continue to move faster. So get going on it. Do not waste the years. I'm not saying you can't have fun. I'm not saying you can't let loose every now and then. But what I am saying is you do need to have a plan, and you do need to have a direction of where you want to go and stick to it. Time is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. My sixth and final life lesson for this video, I mean, I could go on for hours, right? But the sixth one that I wanted to include in this, and the reason I include this one is because this one is very, very, very relevant to me, is 90% of your problems will solve themselves. Stop worrying. So I've always been someone who had anxiety. I've always been someone who's been an overthinker, and I probably always will be. I haven't completely been able to defeat the overthinking mindset. I probably will always have it. But one thing I will say is, about a couple months ago, I had a revelation that 90% of my problems or 90% of my problems would go away if I stopped just worrying about stuff that probably won't happen. And I've just realized that all these things, I began to self-analyze, and the only way I've been able to do this is, like, I haven't been journaling, but I have been writing down, like, certain thoughts I've had, and then I was looking back at them, like, over the course of the last months, and it was funny because all of the things that I was worried about over the last couple months, like, literally none of them happened. Literally none of them. You know, whether it's stuff with relationships, whether it's stuff with, like, the jobs, business, whatever it may be, a lot of the stuff that I was worried about literally didn't happen. And most of what you're anxious about is not going to happen, guys. Stressing about things outside of your control drains your energy. And not only does it drain your energy, but it puts bad energy onto other people because you indirectly affect them, right? Worry is imagination turned against you. So when you calm your mind, clarity follows. And when you're calm, you make better decisions, and you're just overall operating in a more efficient state of mind, more optimal state of mind. Let go, breathe, focus on what's real. I think this is very important because so many people get caught up in politics, news, fear-mongering, what's going on in other people's life, keeping up with the Joneses, all this type of stuff. Guys, just don't worry about that stuff. Focus on what you need to do, breathe, and focus on reality, not what you see on your phone and what other people see on their phone. So, you know, this video, I could go on. I want to keep it around, 15 minutes or so, but I do feel like 26 years old feels like standing in the middle of a turning point, right? Like I said, I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm not done growing either. I'm building, I'm learning, I'm constantly adapting, evolving, becoming the man I need to be for myself and my future family. And while it's not always easy, it's real and it's worth it, right? And if you've ever felt behind, just know that no one has it all figured out. If you're watching this video and you're 16 and you're like, wow, like this kid's 26 and he has a YouTube channel, like, trust me, dude, I don't got to figure it out either. I really don't. I'm just a normal person, Well, actually, I wouldn't say I'm normal, but I'm just an everyday person. You know what I mean? Just an everyday person doing what I have to do. Keep showing up. for myself every day. And like I said, if you're someone watching this video and I don't know if how old you guys are. I mean, drop a comment. I'd love to know if you guys are, late teens, early 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever it may be, whatever age you are. Drop a comment. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far? I really would like to know. It's always good to learn from others. And another question I have is, if you were younger, what's one thing you were trying to figure out right now? Or what's one thing that if you could go back in time and if you had figured out, maybe you feel like you'd be farther along in life? If this video hit home, like it, subscribe, stick around. I'd really appreciate it. I'm building a space here for honest conversations for the men trying to grow, heal, and level up. So as you guys know, I do have some links in the description if you ever want to talk to me personally, whether you're trying to level up in your career, break into a higher paying job. I do have some links in the description if you'd ever want to talk about that. If not, that's totally fine too. I really appreciate everyone who watches these videos and engages with them. So thanks for watching, guys. Happy birthday to anyone else who had a recent birthday. And hope every one of you guys figures things out and levels up 1 year at a time.